Garret had to deal with a lot of different physical issues. First of all was the brain tumor had to be removed, and it was removed on June 24th, 2000. Then he was in the ICU on a ventilator. He was, after surgery, blind, mute, excuse me, paralyzed. So he was in a wheelchair for a while and had to relearn to walk. He was in speech therapy for months, relearning how to talk. And then the visual impairment has continued to today. He has enough sight that he can read with a magnifying TV, can read some print, but not very quickly. And so he's going to have to learn Braille. He's remarkable in the way he's recovered and adapted to the blindness. At first it was difficult. He couldn't get around and things like that. And now you can hardly tell that he's profoundly visually impaired. Finally had a friend who was strong enough to tell me to put my ego in my back pocket and allow people to help me, and not just me, to help our family. And the cliche of it's easier to give than receive really became real to me. The palming of the checks for $500, and not just $500, or the T-ball team that Garret had, that they had a garage sale and raised $1,000. And what I didn't realize at the beginning was that we were going to need that money, because your insurance says they're going to pay for this, but you know, the chemo drugs aren't on their list of approved drugs, and all of a sudden your co-pays go from $10 to $50 and all the other things. I mean, there's a lot of expenses that I didn't know were coming, but fortunately I had a friend that told me to put it away, because when people are trying to do things for you, they want to help. I can remember the loneliness and just almost despair and wondering if anybody else in the world felt the way I felt, if anybody cared or understood. And I think that's the loneliness of the whole cancer experience. Is my wife couldn't relate to what I was going through. I couldn't relate to what my wife was going through. I wanted to be left alone and sorted. I didn't want people touching me. I didn't want to talk to anybody. My wife needed that nurturing, and she needed those hugs and the affirmations that everything were going to be okay. And it led to some trials in our marriage, frankly, and you know, down the road we weren't taking care of each other, and led to a lot of turmoil in our marriage, to where we started talking about getting a divorce and everything. And here this disease had not only infected our son, but was now infecting our marriage. And that was we fortunately were smart enough to realize all the stresses that were going on, and got some counseling and things and got through that. And I think that's a real challenge for married couples, is that you can't relate to what the other person is feeling, and you may, if somebody's withdrawn like I am, trying to think it through and isn't expressing themselves to a person that needs that expression, it was very difficult. I'm Eric Miller, and my family and I are 3-year cancer survivors.